how would you like to learn the secrets of Afripreneurs and how they have built a successful $1 million business from almost nowhere to now running multiple 6 to 7 figures business? Hi, my name is Chirag, and after working and spending more than 5 years in different regions of Africa, I worked in South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Togo, and many more. I'm on a mission to help 10,000 African entrepreneurs become influential leaders by promoting their culture, their brand, their people, uh, you know, uh, and sharing their successful stories, to connect them with all the foreign investors and to keep the African youth inspired. So, welcome to my new podcast channel, Africa, the Next Big Thing, and whom this podcast is for today. This podcast is today for all the young entrepreneurs who really wanted to do something big, something exceptional, and for the students, for the working professional, for businessmen, even for self-employed and unemployed. Now today the person who is coming to our uh, channel today, he's our very first guest, and he doesn't need any introduction. His name is Sydney Scott Sam. And he is somebody who is a brand strategist. He's an international speaker, and he was enlisted in the Forbes Africa 30 under 30 in 2019. So according to Sydney Scott Sam, entrepreneurship is something that can drive Africa to where it needs to go. But where it needs to go, branding is gonna play the most predominant role. And today we're gonna ask him how it is. He has worked with multi-international brands, with the local businesses. He has worked with international brands like Johnny Walker, British Council, and many more. So he is also the co-founder and CEO of Workspace Global. Sydney and his team have built go-to brand services marketplace that connects hundreds of African businesses to remote creative talent across the continent. He is aimed at creating millions of remote work opportunities to curb Africa's growing unemployment gap in the next 5 years. So let's welcome Sydney Scott Sam. He's here with us, and here he comes. Sydney, welcome to Africa, the next big thing, the very first episode. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. I love that introduction. It always gives me goosebumps to think about how far we've come. It's a really big honor to be here.
Oh, that's great. So you are in Ghana right now, currently?
Yeah, I'm in Accra, Ghana. It's a fairly cloudy day, but as
Oh,
always, it's enjoy when we're in Accra. Yeah.
oh, oh, that's great. And as you know this, that Ghana is really close to my heart,
Yes.
specifically Accra New Town. Oh God, that market. I
Yeah.
remember each and every moment when what I've spent over there. I remember when the guy Samuel Adai, he was the salesperson, who used to go with me. I
Yeah.
remember, and Newtown market, they used to call me Chiki. They never, I don't know whether they never pronounce my name correctly. So I told them, okay, you can call me Chiki. So that market, you can go and ask Chiki, and they'll remember me, who I was.
Right.
Mavis, Mr. Che, Wahab, Frida, Material, Tina, all these big names, in Accra, Newtown, were my very close friends, you know.
A big part
And
of my story as well.
yes,
When I started out many years ago, a big part of Workspace was also printing, right? So Newtown is very well known for printing. So
yes,
I would
yes.
go to Newtown, walk to the different print vendors, to get things done. So it's also like a really really big part of my story. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good because I worked in a paper and printing company.
All
So
right.
that's really great. Yeah. So Sydney, so I just want to ask you the most predominant thing right now. Like, I
Yeah.
just want to start with your introduction. How was your background, from coming from a family, and, don't know what to do next, and suddenly featuring Forbes 30 under 30, you have done something exceptional, you have inspired a lot of youth. So I just
Yeah.
want to know your backstory. How was your childhood like? What was your education, each and everything.
Awesome. I guess I always start my childhood story from high school. I mean, I grew up in Accra, grew up in Ghana. We're a family of five. I have two brothers, and we spent a lot of time in Accra growing up. I went to a Chimoto school for high school, and then I went to the University of Ghana for my tertiary education. In the University of Ghana, I remember though I had a bit of confusion as to what I wanted to do with my life. And I chose the business course actually because in first year you don't have to pick a major, right? You don't have to limit yourself to what you want to do. So that's actually the reason why I picked the business course. But then as I was doing business, I started to learn a lot of things and it started to excite me. So in second year, I kicked off my first business with my roommate at the time, a business called Moonlight Cafe. It was a platform, an event platform for stand-up comedians, live musicians, and spoken word artists. And that's really what kicked me into the world of business. I was going around different cities in Ghana, and you can imagine, I went to university at the age of 16, 17, I think 16, 17. Yeah. So you can imagine this 18-year-old, 19-year-old person just going around, Accra, organizing these concerts, etc., etc. And that's what really made me know that it was possible to make something out of nothing. Fortunately, unfortunately, that first business didn't do very well, so it failed at a particular point. But it really helped me to pivot and understand that, listen, when you're doing something, it's really important to understand how you package it, right? Because I didn't know very much about branding at the time, the way we would package that event, didn't really make it easy for us to get corporate sponsorships. And that's something that, you really need to be able to get some of these events going. So that's
Right.
what, pushed me into this branding space to understand, okay, how do I put myself together? How do I, present myself to potential customers, etc., etc. And that's what got me into learning about initially graphic design. I then learned about web design. I learned about other disciplines, and it all came together to build my interest into branding. So yeah, so from university, that's generally what pushed me in there. I started out as a freelancer. So interesting to know what I do today about workspace, connecting freelance creatives to African or just generally global entrepreneurs to deliver branding services. But I started out as a freelancer, helping people, students who had businesses in school, national service people, and it kind of just built very naturally from there. So as I would be helping them design their logo or build their social media page, I would also be teaching them about some of the mistakes that I made about building my business and branding, etc., etc. So one thing led to another. We launched the agency that was Workspace, and during we accelerated for about 5 years, doing a lot of things with big corporates around Ghana and around the world. But during COVID, we had always been inspired to be able to do more with the business because as an agency we could only serve maybe 10, 15 customers at a time. But we're like, listen, what we really want to do is to be able to help hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs and hundreds of thousands of freelancers. And that is where we pivoted to become a tech marketplace or tech platform to be able to connect the talent across Africa with the entrepreneurs that we're supporting through branding and using branding to help these entrepreneurs compete better globally, so because now the way the world is, you could be selling shea butter or fruit juice or whatever it is, but you're competing with so many big brands who are in your country, okay? Whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's in Kenya, you're competing with a lot of people out there. So if you're gonna do a business, you need to do it well, okay? You need to put yourself together, have a website, have great packaging, have a story, and you are able to sell better and compete better globally. So that's just a little bit about my story.
Oh, that's really inspiring and crazy, man. And it says like, to become an entrepreneur, you have to be crazy. You have to think in an, differently. You have to think. So, Sam, the most important challenge that I'm gonna ask you right now is, are the pressure from parents? Like usually in India also it happens, parents have a pressure, and from a childhood they conditioned us in a way that, okay, go to university, then go get a good job, have a secured life, don't take risk. So from that mindset, how to drive, what drives you to become an entrepreneur? Even I hope that your family also pressured you at a time, no, please just do a job, and have a secured life. So
Yeah,
what made you okay to drive to become an entrepreneur, and what was your tipping point, like where
yeah,
you decided, no, the time has come that I should stop listening to all the external noises and I
yeah.
should do what my heart says? So how did it happen?
So to be honest, I'm happy for both of it. Okay, so my dad was very he built a path for us, have a very secure career, that kind of thing. And then my mom was more about, listen, follow your passion, let the things that you can do with your hands help you. Okay, I'm very happy for both perspectives. Okay, because One thing is that my mom motivated me in a way where I could pursue my passion, but my dad always made me remember why we were doing it. Okay, so it's not just because you don't just jump into a business because that's what you want to do, and that's what excites you, but you need to make it help you earn a living, make it help you build a career. So I guess that pressure forced me to um, firstly jump into business. But when I jumped into business, I understood that this is not something that is just a trial and error kind of thing. This is something I'm going to build my career around. It needs to make me money. It needs to be sustainable. It needs to help me achieve all the goals that I have set out for my, and what my parents also expected me to do. So I was very appreciative of both perspectives. The tipping point for me, I think I've always known I wanted a certain level of freedom to create. One thing is I'm somebody who's good at a lot of different things. So I can draw. I could do a lot of different things, right? And I wasn't sure if jumping into one particular thing would make me fulfill me in the way that I wanted to. Okay, so in the very beginning, in the university days, I was just like, okay, you know what, I'm going to try this out. I don't want to go into like a traditional job and then probably be stuck there for a number of years. So I'm gonna try and build myself in a way that gets me to become both independent and sustainable. The most interesting thing about that as well is that it motivated me to start charging for my services and charging a specific way. Because usually when you just want to start a business or be a solopreneur, usually a freelancer, you kind of take business as it comes, whatever comes, but then I just was like, okay, you know what, if I was working somewhere, I would probably be earning maybe at the time 3,000 cedis a month. So if it's 3,000 cedis a month, I need to be able to get 3 gigs that will pay me 1,000 cedis, or I need to be able to get 5 gigs that will pay me 600 cedis. And that was, the mindset that I was going into that with. And when I realized that, okay, 6 gigs wasn't enough and I wanted to do 12, and I hired somebody to help me do that. So that's really what got me to tip over into the world of business. It's very tough, but it's also been very rewarding. Yeah.
That's great, Sam. That's really great to hear. Sam, I also want to, add one thing over here. Like, because I also, when I started, this digital coaching, I'm specifically into digital coaching. So, Sam, there is a one kind of fear that I just want to ask you, from my side as well as on behalf of many people who are doing same, are into the same industry. Sam,
Mhm.
most of them, they feel like, okay, let's say, for example, today I'm making $5,000 every month. And I know if I have to scale this business, I have to hire, I have to go for employment, I have to hire new people and all. But there is always a fear inside. As a business owner, you feel like, what if my employee, he get the training, everything, he learned from me, he spent 6 months, and then he'll go to my competitor, or maybe he'll go to somewhere else. So how to conquer that fear? Like, you always have, like, no, and most entrepreneurs at their initial stage, they want to do everything on their own. Like,
Yeah.
everything I will do myself, I will not hire anybody. So what do you think? Is it good, or no, it is something that has to be changed?
To be really honest with you, my belief is that you are put on this earth, or you are given the gifts that you have to make the world a better place, to make other people better. Okay.
Yes.
People will tell you that a lot of people, like I've probably hired over 40 people in my career. Okay. And some of them have gone on to work for the World Bank. Some have gone on to work for some of my clients. Some of them have started their
Wow.
own businesses. One guy who I'm very proud of started out as a designer with me. He left me to become a photographer, and he's one of the top 10 photographers in Ghana right now. So
Wow.
you accept that you are here to help other people, it kind of changes your perspective about employing other people and considering them as competitors. Because my wife always tells me, that decisions made out of fear or confusion are not from God, right? That's something that we've always thought about, the idea that being afraid, doesn't help you in any way. Even if you're
Yes.
not afraid and you still lose, there's no point being afraid, right? So the first question is, how big do you want to get? And you need to understand that entrepreneurship is not about just about making money, it's about helping people. So
Helping
how many
people.
customers do you want to help? That the reason I've been able to do this for 10 years, without losing motivation, without, and just staying consistent, is because I always want to help other people, okay? Whether it makes me, I have a lot of people who are paying me or very few people who are paying me. As long as I'm helping people, it keeps me going, okay? So if you realize that by yourself, you can only help 5 people, and if you hire somebody else, you can hire them, you can help 10 people, go ahead and do that. Do you get what I mean? The fact that that other person will learn from you. Everybody goes through an apprenticeship period for 2, 3, 4 years, right? And they have to grow and become bigger, right? And if they're growing and become bigger, that's a good thing. And they also go out and help more people. So the point is
Yes.
just to keep helping other people, and making sure that the goodness keeps going around. However, I do also recommend that there are things that only you are special at doing. Okay. One thing that nobody can take away from me. There was a time I was a very good graphic designer. There was a time, I still am, but I don't design as much anymore. I do a lot more creative direction and business management. But the thing that always set me apart was that I can teach my customers in a way that nobody else can. Okay,
Nobody
so
else can.
there's not many people who are creative who are also very well versed in business strategy. Okay, and that was my thing. So I'm
Yes,
I'm
you're right.
very good at business strategy. I'm very good at brand strategy, but I also help develop designs and copywriting and things like that, which makes me very special and very unique. So no matter how many people who learn from me or I hire, they usually learn one skill, which is the
Anything.
design. So, yeah, but then they don't always learn the other elements. So I always
Yes.
encourage that understand what makes you special, and that's something that nobody else can take away from you. No matter who leaves you to go and start something else, you will always be the best person to do that particular thing that you're good at.
You're 100% right, man. And I just remembered one thing. I was talking to one of my mentor, Vic Use. He lives in United States. And
Mm,
over that time, when I got a just chance to speak to him, I told him, see, he asked me that, where are you lacking right now in your business? And I told him, see, the thing is, the website that I am building for myself, the landing page that I'm building for myself, there are people who are just trying to copy paste even the headline, even the content that I am writing, even the photos. And you know what he said? He said, Chirag, they can copy your landing pages, they can copy your website, they can copy your copywriting content, each and every single thing. But one thing they cannot copy is your heart, your intentions. They
mhm,
don't know what you have gone through to achieve
exactly.
that, and the skills. And trust me, Chirag, these people won't survive. Copy paste are not gonna survive for long. But the
Exactly.
person who is starting from the basics, learning each and every single thing, is gonna go big. So
Exactly.
that's, yeah, you have also remembered me that. So Sam,
Mhm.
I just want to, now my next question to you is, as you told me, yes, you have done sales branding, when you were in the university. So how did you master the art of branding, that time? Like, if somebody right now, the viewer who is listening to us and who is pursuing his career into marketing, so what branding does work today in the
Right.
21st century? Yeah.
So, I'll start with how important branding is, and then I'll talk about how I mastered branding. So, the thing is, branding is basically the perception, the emotions that are, the perception of the emotions that are associated with you or your service or product, right? So, no matter who you are around the world, you are a brand, okay? Whether you're a good brand is a question, but no matter what you're doing to as a parent to your kids, as a banker to your customers, every one of you has a brand because you have a reputation, and there's something that people remember you by. Okay, so when you think about this and realize that it is inevitable for you to build a brand for yourself. If you're not intentionally building a brand, you are most likely building a bad brand. Do you get what I mean? A brand where there's a lot of negative sentiment, or a brand where you don't care. Some people have brands. Some companies have brands where the company just doesn't care, and anybody can say anything, and that kind of thing. So just note that no matter what you're doing, you have a brand and you are a brand. And because that is the case, it is important for you to be intentional about having a brand. And branding is not just about logos or websites. It also goes deeper into your customer interactions. It goes deeper into your values. It goes deeper into how you speak, what you talk about. All those things influence your brand. Okay, so having this principle, I then I wouldn't say I didn't jump into branding. I didn't say, oh, branding is what I'm going to master. And that's not how it began. I started out by delivering services, designs and stuff to businesses. And then in my interactions with those businesses, I realized, oh wow, like this is something they really need help with. And this is a much bigger thing than just, oh, I need a flyer or I need a label. Do you get what I mean? And so I learned firsthand, firstly, because my business failed. And secondly, because when I was delivering services to my customers, I also realized that they were having serious problems with that kind of, but somebody sits down and, for maybe 4 days or 5 days, they spend a lot of time creating a formula for like a really nice cocoa butter or something. And because of how it looks like, somebody only wants to pay 5 cedis or $1, for it.
Yeah.
But if it was put together nicely, that same thing could sell for 60 cedis or 100 cedis. You get it? And I noticed that difference just because people would be intentional about it. So to
Yes.
kick off, if you want to develop a career in branding, I would say understand a little bit about business. Okay, understand a little bit about how business works. A lot of people are now entrepreneurs out of necessity, which is, you're not really an entrepreneur within your heart, but you just, you need to do something to make money, right? And,
Yes.
and that's
Just for the
yeah,
labeling, they do
yeah,
it.
just yeah,
Yes.
it's okay, but I think, if you're going to do anything, do it properly, right? So if you really want to be an entrepreneur, take some time to learn about business, take some time to understand, how does sales work? How does, what is a good product? Little things like that, okay? Then on that basis, you then there's a lot of free courses on YouTube or Udemy or Coursera or LinkedIn about branding, where you can understand how perception works, tone of voice, visuals, all those different things, and just understand the basic principles. And you will learn that day to day just by doing business and asking somebody to pay you $10, you will realize how hesitant or how willing the person is going to be when they're paying that $10, just because of how they think about you. And when you start
Yes.
to learn more about that, you will realize, okay, I'm learning more about branding. I know, like, this is important. I need to, and a lot of, especially those of us on TikTok, those of us on Instagram, are all building brands every day. We know that the things that we put out so the world is already there. You just have to take a little bit of extra time, to understand what you're doing and be more intentional about it.
That's really a great insight that you have told about branding. And to all the viewers who are just watching it out, I just want you all to just make some points as well, if you just feel like okay, this is something that, yes, which is really, because what Sam is telling you is all completely based on his practical experience that he
Mm.
has gone through. So Sam, my next question to you is, right now, see, our parents, at that time it was an industrial revolution, when
Yes.
and I have seen this thing in Ghana, where even I was working in a company where there were employees who are working for more than 15 years, 15 years working. Today, when we are living in a digital revolution, it's really something I felt like, how come they do it? So from industrial revolution, Sam, we moved to informational revolution, and from informational, right now we have moved to digital revolution. As you also said, now everything is free on YouTube. If today I have to learn coding, I'll just write on YouTube how to learn coding, and I'll get lot of information on YouTube as well. So my question to you is, how big is the African market when it comes to digital revolution, and how ready they are right now?
So I'll be honest with you, Africa has no idea how much potential the
They
continent
have.
has. The whole
Yes.
world, firstly, Africa has the youngest population in the world, right?
Yes.
The biggest population of young people. We have young people who are ready to work, ready to, get things done, and they can work for longer, because these people now, if, have 50, 60 years, to be able to do work and be able to make change, right?
Yes.
So when you think about the idea that, somebody always said to me that go where the money is, or go where people are looking for opportunities, right? And I'm telling you, everyone around the world is coming to Africa, because in Africa, and it's not a bad thing,
No.
labor is more available. Okay,
Yes.
people are a lot more flexible. People are a lot more, when I say hungry, in terms of they have the drive to get things done. In other parts of the world, some people are more comfortable, so they're not as keen to push all the way and get hard work done. But in Africa, people have that drive. Okay, now, I work with a number of companies that is even working on just being able to upskill the young people in Africa to learn about coding, remote working, etc., so that we can export this talent to the rest of the world. And this is millions of young people that we're doing this with. So this is just to give you perspective of the fact that you are sitting on gold, and you are in a continent. You yourself are gold. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
It's just about how you clean yourself up, how you polish yourself, by learning the skills that the world needs. And it's important. Learn the skills that the world needs. It's not just about what you want to do or what you can do. I've seen people who are 50 years old, 60 years old, who are learning about coding. They're learning about, you talk about how to build landing pages. They're going on Upwork. They're coming to Workspace saying, listen, I know how to write. I've been a report writer in this old industry for a very long time, but I want to be a copywriter now. I've sharpened my skills. I've learned a little bit about LinkedIn. Can you find me work? Do you get what I mean? And once you position yourself in that way and you put yourself out there and you're able to work, using the internet, people are looking for you, and there's a lot of opportunities out there to be able to, upskill you. So just change your perspective about Africa. Africa is the next big thing. Africa is where
No
the
doubt.
world is coming to. People are pumping millions of dollars to just be able to harness the potential of Africa. Do you get what I mean? And you are one of them. Whether you want to be the talent, whether you want to be a business, whether you want to be a consultant, get up and do something that fits in this digital age, and get things done. Make some money and enjoy a very good life.
That's really a kind of bulb on moment, for me as well, and for the viewers who are listening, definitely, and who are going to listen this later on. This is something which you have said is totally bulb on. And Sydney, I just want to ask you one more important thing over here is, like, the Workspace Global is doing really great, your company, and you are also working on the same project. Where do you see Workspace Global in next 5 years, and what are your target markets, like target countries for upcoming 5 years, like where you want to go and position yourself, and which countries, are you just working in Ghana right now, or you are into many countries as well?
Many countries. Okay. So just for those who are listening, let me share a bit more perspective about Workspace. Okay. So Workspace is an outsourcing marketplace. It's a two-sided marketplace, similar to Uber or Airbnb. But so where we connect entrepreneurs, businesses, corporate organizations, okay, people who need creative services, who need branding services, who need that kind of support, and usually have to go to either big agencies to get this kind of work done and pay a lot of money. They either work with freelancers who are not always, designed to work for big businesses. Okay, so
They don't
sometimes
work in a system. They don't work
exactly
in a
don't
system.
work in a
Yeah, they
system.
don't have a system. Yeah.
Exactly. So somebody's a graphic designer, but they don't have customer service skills. They don't have,
Yes.
things like that. Okay. So a lot of people have to work with 5, 10 freelancers before they get everything that they need. Okay. So these companies also do that. And then the last competitor for us is DIY softwares, right? Like Canva, like Wix, where you build it yourself. But I know my mom sits down and is like, Sydney, this Canva thing, I don't understand it. I don't know how to, so why don't I just, can I just use Workspace to hire someone to get this thing done for me? Okay. So there's the businesses, entrepreneurs and organizations on one side who need a better alternative, right? That saves them time It doesn't need them to do all of this, and it's cheap or affordable as compared to, big agencies, etc., etc. Okay, so they come to Workspace, and then Workspace connects them with these freelance contractors, hundreds of thousands of them, who do copywriting, web development, etc., etc. Okay, but the difference is that the customer only works with Workspace.
Yes.
Unlike other platforms like Upwork or TopTal, where they connect you to the freelancer and then they step back. It's like, you have to manage that relationship. With Workspace, we take the liability for the quality and delivery of your work. Okay. So we manage the customer relationship. We also manage a creative direction. So the freelancers don't just come up with their own ideas. We are the branding experts. So we go like, okay, if World Bank needs a logo or a document for something, based on our experience, we know what colors to use, how to structure all of that. And then we give that to the creative and tell the creative, this is what is the industry standard, do this. And we need the creative to deliver at a particular time. If the creative doesn't deliver at that time, we give it to another creative. So no matter what happens, the customer always gets their work on time, always gets high quality work. Do you get what I mean? And they never have to worry about, they don't have to even wait in a queue. Do you get what I mean? Because
Yes.
we always have people available. So that's generally how Workspace works. But on the flip side, the freelancers who are working from their homes and are looking for customers, and sometimes you have a good month, you make $500, another time you don't, you can come to Workspace, and Workspace says, listen, tell us how much available time you have. Okay, maybe 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week. It's up to you. You tell us when you're available, and we will assign you work for those hours only. Okay, so it's not a full-time job, but it's also not like a freelance thing where you don't know when business is coming, right? You just tell us how
Yes.
much time you have, and then we would keep sending you work to do. And basically, for the number of hours you work, we collate it, and at the end of the month we pay you something. Okay, we are hoping to be able to make more money so we can pay people on a 2-week basis, but for now we pay people more on a 30-day on a monthly basis. So it's almost like you're earning a salary, but it's a salary that
Yeah.
is flexible enough for how available that you are. It is remote,
Yes.
and it's a bit more secure than just you being a freelancer looking for business on your own. Okay,
Yes.
so because the freelancers also work with Workspace, they don't work directly with the customer. So no matter what, as long as you do work, you will be paid. Do you get what I mean? There's
And
no
and they'll make more money with this model. They'll make more money than what they are making in as a
exact
freelancer.
exactly. So that's
Yes.
how the workspace marketplace works, and it's really solving lots of problems. We are indeed in the early stages, so we're still learning and still growing, and we have our second cohort of freelancers. We're currently working in Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya, but we're hoping to
Okay.
expand to all of Africa, especially Southern Africa, Northern Africa, and then we also want to go global. In a few years, we would go into the US, in Europe, because it's cheaper to work with us, for the same thing
Yes.
that you would get, you'd have to work with a freelancer for $100. You can do it with Workspace for $20. So it's so much cheaper
Yes.
to work with us. And the quality of work is the same because we've been an agency for a lot of years. It's the same quality that you get, for with big time agencies, and the customer service is good, etc., etc. So our plan for the next 5 years or 10 years is, my mission has always been to support 1 million entrepreneurs to be able to
Yes.
compete globally, but that mission has even expanded. So I want to support 1 million entrepreneurs or 1 million small businesses, but I want to give millions of remote talent work opportunities, because the unemployment problem in Africa is really huge. So if we're able
Yes.
to get people who can write, can design, can build a website. Do you get what I mean? And we may even expand our services to other things like voiceovers. There's a lot more skills out there. That's talent just sitting at home. We could help develop that talent and connect them to work, and it creates this nice ecosystem where we're giving people jobs, we're helping businesses. We're giving people jobs, we're helping businesses. And I think this would really go far to change Africa and also make us a lot of money. Yeah.
Yes. Very far. This is something like, I'll sound like changing a kind of, the image of an Africa is gonna change, with having such kind of entrepreneurs like you. And that's why, you were listed in Forbes, you had to be. And so Sydney, what are your views on, like, I think in 2020, yes, the Forbes mentioned one thing, that e-learning industry is going to be $325 billion by the end of 2025.
Yeah.
But they are not even expecting $10 billion from the continent Africa. And they said that if Africa contributes even half, like what other continents are doing, this $325 billion would even go to $600 billion. So where do you think now has the time come that, all the digital marketing services agencies and all, most of them, they are also changing their focus more from, services to coaching. Let's say they want to coach people. The coaching industry is really growing right now in United States, even in India now.
Yes.
So what are your plans when it comes to the coaching industry? Because I am from coaching industry, so I have to ask this, because at simultaneously I am doing, digital services. But yes, but when it comes to coaching, I'm doing it more than the services, because coaching is something like, there are a lot of people who have to learn, who wants to learn, like what
Yes.
are the skills, how to talk. They don't know how to even negotiate with somebody, sales
Yeah.
skills, and each and every single thing. What are
Exactly.
your and workspace global plan when it comes to coaching?
So there's a number of things that we're doing. I would say it's in three forms. So Workspace is working on coaching the freelance talent to get them
Okay.
to gain the skills, customer service. We want them to grow, and this is what I was telling you the other time, that we're not worried about building our own competition. We want people to win. We want Africans to win, right? So we will teach them the
Yes.
skills that allows them to even help other people, even if it's outside Workspace. Even though Workspace is a great facilitator, obviously we can't cater to the whole pie, right? So we are working on helping our creators also build their own skills and coaching them to be able to grow. We're also coaching our entrepreneurs, to understand more about not just about branding, but about business. And that's something that I've been very consistent about. And for a big part of my career, I did the coaching for free, right? I would gather 50 entrepreneurs, 100 entrepreneurs, and just coach them and teach them about business strategy, et cetera, et cetera. And now what I would say about Africa is that we're seeing the potential. It's like if it's only you who can make the difference between you being poor and you being wealthy, okay? Because if you can access things that previously you couldn't access, you could talk to somebody who can teach you, you can watch videos who can teach you. That motivation is there, and people are building that hunger within them to be able to consume more information and become better. So I think the coaching industry is generally where it's at for me. It's actually a big part of my career pivot. I'm turning 30 next year, and I think that's a big part that I want to launch. I want to launch my work with Workspace, but also me personally as a personal brand. I want to jump
Yes.
into coaching for, mainly for clarity. That's the space that I'm very passionate about.
Yes.
I help people see clearly. I help business owners understand their problems a bit better, things like that. So just in summary, the coaching industry is really huge. The hunger for coaching is really huge. I
Huge.
encourage you, and you don't even have to be so much of an expert. If you're good at one thing, just teach people about that thing, and you can teach
Yes.
people for free.
Yes.
If you teach people, people come to you and are willing to pay you for the thing that you're teaching them about. Do you get what I mean? So it just becomes this world where you give and take, give and take, give and take, which is really good. So I encourage
Very
you
good.
that if you have any skills, teach. If you don't have skills, don't be afraid to pay to learn. Don't be
Yes.
afraid to pay to learn. It's an investment in yourself. Get a little bit of money, and that's how people that's how the ecosystem builds. So be open to paying to learn and get someone to teach you so you can avoid certain mistakes and get to your goal earlier. But I really do think that this ecosystem would really, really grow Africa and the rest of the world.
It is growing, man, and it will grow for the next 7 to 8 years more now, because post COVID, people, they are very conscious now. They are very conscious about their health. They are very conscious about their relationship, about
Yeah.
the money, because a lot of people, they lost their jobs during this pandemic. And due
Yes.
to that, so it also made people believe that now it's not like if I am good in one thing, I can spend rest of my life. They have to add now new skills, if they have to survive, whether in a job or if they have to do their own business. And
Yes.
the reason being, when I entered into coaching business, Sydney, I invested around 40 to 45,000 dollars while learning
Yes.
from the masters. I learned from many masters. And one day, my father told me one thing, that now what is your next plan? I told my dad, like those Americans, I am also going to launch for $5 to $10,000 for one program. And that day, my dad told me one thing, that Chirag, you are doing something bad over here. You are fortunate that okay, you have invested 45,000 dollars, but what about that middle class person who wants to do something big? So why don't you give him at such a price, or teach him. I'm not asking you to not charge him anything or teach him for free, but make sure that he won't pay that $40,000. So can't you do that? Can't you give him 90% discount and let he learn all those skills what you have? I say yes, I can do it. And that's why, and I did it same thing in India. And even I'm doing now the same thing in uh, America for now. But I'm going to promise one thing over here, because after listening to you and getting inspired from you specifically, if I'm going to come to Africa, I'm going to give them straight away 90-95% discount, man, straight away. I'm not going. Now that's the main skill, because I have to educate more people now.
Exactly.
Money is the secondary part, but first thing is to create an impact.
Exactly.
Yes. And Sydney, now next question is something, like I'll just take you to 2019. I
Hmm.
was at Spintex Palace Mall,
Hmm.
September, I still remember. I
Hmm.
met a Russian guy over there, and he had business in Ghana. He also
Yeah.
had business in Nigeria, Togo, these countries he had. He
Hmm.
also had a business in, India. He told
Hmm.
me that he also came to, he went to India long time ago. He told me one thing, like, do you know why many startups in India and even in Africa, why they are failing? Because he's also an investor.
Hmm.
So I asked him why. And he told me one thing, because they forget the main goal, that why did they do startup. Their main goal was to solve a major problem of a client.
That's it.
But when they get investment, oh, they start chilling. They feel like, hey, we have the money has come, now let's celebrate. They do parties for 5-10 days. They chop chicken, everything. They start dancing. And and what about the goal? And after 2-3 years, they tell investor, see, the business didn't work. Actually, he told me the idea was brilliant, but don't know when they get the money what happened to them. And he said that this thing he has seen in India as well. 90-95% of startups, they are failing because they have this kind of intention.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like, why startups are failing? The reason, because you were also young when you started. You didn't fail, man, you actually made it big. So what is that thing that you feel like that these youngsters, they are lacking, you know and which you didn't do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I would say is I always talk much. I learned from Simon Sinek about your why, your purpose. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of people are walking around very confused or not sure about what their purpose is in life. And this doesn't even have to do with entrepreneurship. This has to do with you as a human being. What are you
Yes.
trying to do with yourself? Unfortunately, a lot of people are just focused on being rich, being wealthy, which is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting the soft life, there's nothing wrong with it. But the thing is, it's not a it's not a destination. It's just a state. It's like a shirt you put on, right? You can put on a nice shirt, and if you feel crap inside, or if you're not going anywhere, the shirt doesn't change anything. Okay, and that's just generally what I believe about getting wealthy or pursuing riches. So I think I would just encourage everyone listening to this conversation to have a really deep conversation about yourself, with yourself, and just ask yourself, what do I really, really want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my life? Do I just want to get a house and a car and just, what do I really want to do? And usually that question has to do with how you can solve a problem for someone, who that person is, and where they are. Okay. So if you want to help, let's say, single mothers be able to start businesses mainly in western region of Ghana, you can turn that can be like a passion point, and it purely has to, it shouldn't just be because you've heard about it. It should be something you really want to do. Once you're able to figure out that purpose statement, your why, what I wake up in the morning to be able to do, then you try and look for somebody who's going to pay for it. And one thing I learned in business is that the person you're trying to help doesn't always have to be the person who's paying for your service. And that changed the way that I did a lot of things. So with social enterprises and NGOs, you can get rich people to pay for something that you're going to do to help people who are not so fortunate. Do you get what I mean? Or similar to you, Chirag, you are looking to do coaching, and I always say nothing is stopping you from charging $10,000 for the coaching sessions that you do, but you can then open it up and get 100 people to pay you $10. Do you get what I mean? For the same. So you do it using a webinar, or you do it, using, do you get what I mean? So they're still paying for it. You're still getting your money, but you are helping a lot more people. Do you get what I mean? So these are just the things that, if you ask yourself why, it changes the way you do certain things. Certain deals come. I've had $100,000 deals. I think one of the biggest deals that I've turned away, it just did not fit with what I was trying to do with my life. And I was okay with being able to say no. It didn't even hurt because it wasn't what I was trying to do, and it was going to take me off my course. Do you get what I mean? But every time I'm able to do something that feeds that, even if I get $100, I'm very excited. Do you get what I mean? And you keep doing it that way. So that's just my encouragement there, that a lot of startups are failing, a lot of founders are failing because they forget why they're doing it. Sometimes they don't even have the conversation with themselves in the first place. They just hear that something is working. They have some connect, they have some co-founder somewhere, and then they just jump into it. But what's going to happen is that after 3, 4, 5 years, because it's not truly who you are, it falls to the wayside. And that's something that nobody can take away from me. I am what I do. I really, yes, I will do it consistently till the day I die, to help people to see clearly, to help people package themselves. It's who I am. Do you get what I mean? My friends, my wife, everybody around me learns from that same thing. They all become better in their own way because that's just who I am. And because of that, it makes it very easy for people to work with me. People trust me very easily. I've built a lot of experience. I've supported probably thousands of people, because it's just who I am. And if you're able to figure that, even if an idea fails, the mission never changes, and you can come up with another idea that would be able to, take you forward. So that's just what I would suggest there.
That's something amazing that you have said just now, and which really means, like, the vision should be clear. Like your vision, like why people say, like when even sometimes I also do the coaching for first full week, I work on their mindset. Like if you
Yes,
don't have a mindset, trust me, the business is gonna collapse,
ex-
because bad phase is going to come. And I can also say one thing, like you have also seen a bad phase. In business it happens. Business goes up and down every time. I have also seen, there are other businessmen also, they have also seen. Even Steve Jobs have seen,
yeah,
Tim Cook
yeah,
has seen, Mark Zuckerberg has seen. So bad times do come. But if your mission, like you said, your vision and your mindset is fine, and you have a bigger goal, bigger goal, like my goal, let's say, for most of these youngsters, they say, okay, no, my goal is to buy a Rolls Royce and to have a good girlfriend and to go here. If this is your goal, and maybe they will achieve it, but when the bad time comes, they won't be able to survive.
they'll
But
be
if
able
their
to,
goal is something bigger, this is my bigger picture, these things are just a byproduct. Like
exactly,
Steve Jobs once said that you should stop counting money after making $1 million, because after that your only goal is to how to create an impact and how to solve the urgent problem of a customer, which
exactly,
is, and I just completely agree with you. And this episode is really going interesting, man. It's like, okay, two people from the same field and also on the same vision to
yeah,
help and impact a lot of customers.
yeah.
It is something which is really I'm talking about. So yeah, so Sydney, my next question to you right now is, what you want to say to investors of North America, India, Europe, and there are some viewers who are watching right now. Like, why should they come to Africa and invest in all these things? Like, there is, I'll just give you an example. Like most Indians, every year, they buy real estate properties in Dubai. They go to Dubai, they go to US, and I have complete respect, to that. But why don't you think like, because when I was in Ghana and Nigeria, I found like, these countries have more opportunities. They give you more, when it comes to an investment. And you can, if you are investing when it comes to making money, then these countries have that potential.
They
So what
do.
do you want to say?
So what I would say, I mean, I'll speak firstly for my advice to investors, and I'll speak about myself. Number one is that because Africa is so green, it we are for every dollar that you invest, if you probably could get $2 in another country, you could most likely get $4 in Africa, because the cost of being able to the cost of labor is very competitive. The cost of accessing resources is very competitive. There's a friendlier, not necessarily just the political landscape, but there's a friendlier, just more equal opportunity for all businesses to be able to come and get things going. Okay, so I would say if you want to invest in Africa, it's not the problem is people don't have trust, and for valid reasons. Like, there are some bad nuts out there who mess up with people's investments. So all I would say is that take your time a bit better, visit the places you want to invest, talk to some of the people, talk to me. I'm very happy to guide investors as to who I think is a good person, who is not a good person, things like that, right? And take your time. Okay, it doesn't mean the investment is bad. It just means who you invest in, you have to be
Yes.
careful about. Yes, but the
Yes.
investment always yields great return, especially when you invest in the right thing. So another thing I'd recommend is a staggered approach. If you get into bed with somebody that you want to invest in, and let's say the deal is worth $1 million, start with $100,000 and give them milestones, right? So on every milestone that they meet, you push forward another batch of investment. And I think that is a better way to de-risk your investment. You are able to see by performance, by you know what I mean? Like, you're able to pilot the deal before you put all your money in there. So that's just generally what I would say. I would also then talk about my business as I'm raising money myself. We've worked in Ghana, we're working in Nigeria and in Kenya, but in order to scale our operations, we do need some investment to be able to push forward. And currently with Workspace, for every dollar that you invest, we're able to make about $3 or $4 on that, because it's a very nice and green space that we exist in with not a lot of competition. So I do encourage that, if you're out there and you have some money that you want to try out into an e-commerce product or marketplace product or tech product based in Africa that is really helping real people, I'll be very happy to have a conversation so we can scale this across Africa and scale this globally as well. So that's just generally what I would say about investment. I myself have invested in a few companies in agriculture, etc. I've had my fair share of people who've messed me up, but I've learned my lesson also as an investor myself. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And so do Workspace Global is also open to collaborate, collaborate with, let's say,
Yes.
tomorrow, if somebody comes, okay, I also have an agency, and you also have an agency, let's work on a new project together. So do
Yes.
Workspace Global is open for everything?
So Workspace, you see, the Workspace is positioned in a place where we have the intelligence, okay, and we have access to the talent, and we have the tech platform that allows people to come in to work with us, right? We are happy to collaborate with people who have the market. So if you have a lot of customers, you can come and we would just give you the talent and we make money together. Okay. If you are looking for opportunities to be able to use our intelligence, and maybe you have the talent, or do you get what I mean? So there's so many different ways. And remember what I said at the beginning. My goal is to be able to help people, millions of entrepreneurs and millions of talent. So I'm very good to split profits, with people who are able to champion this mission. I'm only doing about 1,000 to 2,000 people a year right now. I want to be able to do 10,000, 15,000, 50,000. You get it? So I'm happy to collaborate. It doesn't even have to be people in the exact space. You could be a bank who's trying to make impact, in Africa. You could be, there's a lot of different ways by which we're open to collaborating. So I'll be very happy
Yes.
to with you about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. And so today we have a lot of insights, on this episode. It's completely amazing. We had a lot of insights, and the audience, who is listening to us, I'm sure they have learned a lot of things,
Yeah.
today from this episode. And about the branding, about the sales, about how a young person, completely from nowhere become and enlisted himself into Forbes 30 under 30. So let's come to the conclusion and the last question,
Oh,
Mr. Sydney, that I'm gonna ask you right now is, what advice do you give to a youngster between 18 to 25 who is watching this episode right now, and he wants to enter and enlisted himself into Forbes 30 under 30 in next 4 years? What
right.
that advice you want to give it to them to conclude?
So I mean, the first thing I would say is that Forbes 30 under 30 is a fantastic platform. There's a lot of it. It only enlists very few people. Okay, I'm very particular about telling people not to tie yourself to one particular achievement. Okay, there's a lot of other places where you can be recognized. So just focus on being able to create impact, create a sustainable business, make some good money ethically. Okay, so those are the things that you need to think about. So if you're 18 to 25, the first thing I would say is go and research the skills that the world needs today. That's the first thing. Understand the skills the world needs today. Even if you're trying to start a business, just try to understand the landscape. Where's the world going? What does this mean? What are we talking about? Do you get what I mean? And so you can understand, what Africa needs, what software or what tech businesses needs, things like that. When you understand that, then check yourself and go like, okay, which one of these kind of speaks to me? Okay, which one of these am I willing to learn? Which one of these can I learn in a way that nobody can take this away from me for the rest of my life? For example, if you learn to code and you keep learning about the new languages, nobody can take that away from you. Do you get what I mean? It's in your head. Invest your time in learning about that. Firstly, that skill, learn about how business works, and learn about your mindset. Okay, like trying to understand the growth mindset, try to get yourself into a bit, get a coach, and master these three things. Okay, and just put yourself out there, expose yourself, go to networking events, get on social media platforms, just expose yourself and help people. Just help people. Share the things that you've learned. You'll be surprised at how quickly people would start wanting to pay you for the things that you're looking to do. And you yourself would have so much direction and clarity because you took your time to learn what people needed. You took your time to master how to give people the value, and you took your time to understand the mindset that needed to take you to go far. And that's my advice for you. If you're able to follow this advice, I think you do very well in your life and in your career.
Excellent, excellent, Sydney. And I just want to add one more thing over here. So to the audience who is listening this podcast, between 18 to 25, when we are talking about a mindset, it means that when you are going to approach clients, you should go with a mindset of serving, not needing. Like,
Exactly.
yes, they
Exactly.
should not feel like you are the one who needs. Customer always want to know. Customer doesn't care how much money you make. Customer care how much you care for them. People don't buy products, they just buy the better version of themselves. What problem a customer is going through and what immediate solution you have right now, and you can solve that problem. And trust me, customer would even pay you 1,000 CDs for that, that
Exactly.
yes, you have done it. And that's what everybody have done. So Sydney, it's time that we should conclude to our this episode. It was completely amazing to have you here, my brother. you know and and I'm very fortunate to have a first person from Ghana, to come and feature this podcast. The
Yes.
one important thing, from Ghana that I brings a lot. I have lot of things. I'll just show you. King's Bite chocolate. I have plenty of them, and I want to, tell people who are living outside Ghana, and maybe you are living in USA or India or anywhere else. This
Yeah.
chocolate you won't find anywhere. You
Yeah.
know, you won't get in Dubai. You won't get anywhere. It's completely made from pure cocoa. I'm not promoting them. They have not paid me anything to sponsor
Yeah.
and all, but this is something that I like. And yes, after doing this podcast, the first episode, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of insight that I have also learned.
Definitely.
Always remember that you all should have a learning mindset. You all
Yeah.
must be curious to learn new things, and that's why the main goal of this channel is.
Yeah.
And yes, so thank you, Sydney. I just want to say that yes, for all the great insight that you have given. And we'll reconnect again, when all the things, like, yes, you are also a man, a visionary man, and I also have some insight, and let's see that how come we can do together something out of that, you know so
Exactly.
okay, so that's how I just want to say goodbye, everyone. So see you on my next podcast.
Roger that.
I'm coming up with another podcast next week. So I hope, Sydney, you found it interesting.
I loved it. I love this session. It's always
Yeah.
inspiring to connect and just talk about the things that we've learned. Yeah, thank you for the
Yes.
opportunity.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. God bless.
Bye. Bye.